Hi, thanks for joining us. My name is Mark Forster. I'm from Comscare, part of the Ingram Micro Group. So we've got Wayne Sutcliffe with us, who went to VMworld as part of VMware. We've got Amar Jandu, who went to Microsoft Ignite. And we've got Dan Maynard, who was at the Cisco Partner Summit over in Vegas. I mean, ultimately, that's what these summits are for, more so than anything. These are big events in terms of understanding on where the big vendors and where their strategy is going. So us within the channel, or us as resellers, or us as providers, can evolve our strategies around that to maximise the opportunity to really address the markets and where we see the markets are going. So, I mean, it's interesting that Dan raises that. You guys, I presume, got the same sort of feeling in terms of knowing where the vendors are going and where that's driving forward?
Very much so. I think VMware in 2019 made a really big point of where their roadmap and strategy were going. Perhaps, similar summits been to in 2017, 2018 left as many questions as what answers they gave. 2009 was very clear focus on where they're going with their strategy. A lot of it was around any application on any device in any cloud, and security as well being at the foundation of everything, which again we're seeing across all the vendors that we're talking about today. I think VMware did particularly well in showing how they've done partnerships over the last sort of 24 months.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the questions was AWS, Microsoft, why they're partnering here, what they're doing with these the vendors, and building frenemies of what we thought previously. But when you look at the strategy now, and as they're moving forward, they've built relationships with all the 5 big cloud providers, that being Amazon, Microsoft, IBM, Google, Oracle, and then with their acquisitions of Pivotal, Carbon Black, and Kubernetes. Again, you can see now really how they're wanting to get that strategy of the any app on any device in any cloud. That to me gave real focus and direction of where VMware were going, and as a solutions provider, trying to support the channel and giving the best advice into the channel. It was brilliant to see how they're partnering with the rest of the vendor community to deliver best outcomes for the customers to meet their demands and needs as we get into a more complex world.
So for me, I'd say the general strategy that really, because being such a huge conference that focuses on different areas, for my specific area, which is cloud, I could really see a few big name highlights that came out to me as part of their strategy of the next year. And if I could boil it down, I'd say automation, and I'll get into that, and basically around automating business processes, using intelligent things like machine learning to effectively replace business capabilities or ops capabilities that you have within your business. So there's a new technology called Power Apps that they're really raising the capability for. And what that essentially allows somebody to do is just an average Joe or average person who's not a developer. It could be us in this room. If we don't have any programming experiences, we could quite easily develop an application that will automate, say, our business process using a visual designer. So you coming to a no-code or a codeless solution. So we're saying you don't have to be a developer anymore to make an application. You can use these products. So Microsoft really pushing things like that, and also helping customers who are using cloud, not just their cloud environment, but also even if they're using a multi-cloud environment like using AWS or Google Cloud, or even having on-premises infrastructure. Microsoft have been really trying to help those customers out in those hybrid scenarios. So they're really focused on one of the big names that big name technologies that they've announced in this conference was something called Azure Arc, and what that allows you to do is have a single pane of glass for all of your infrastructure, even if you are using AWS or Google Cloud. So I think that those 2 key points is automation and also focusing on hybrid cloud environments. It was a key kind of areas that I could see coming out of their roadmap in the next year. And some of these things will really change the way businesses operate as it starts to be picked up in the future.
I think that it's interesting because I think it flows across all of the events in terms of from a Cisco perspective. If you look back over the past few years, there's been a definite shift from talking about the technology, the architecture, the product, to talking about things from a more ultimately a consumer-driven methodology, where the consumer under Cisco's went out a couple of years ago around the whole digitization piece, which is ultimately because we are all now consumers and we all have a certain expectation in terms of how we consume technology, whether that be at home or whether that be within the workplace. And I think more and more it feels like, particularly from a Cisco perspective, it's that appreciation and recognising now, going out and talking about a specific architecture, a specific technology, it still has a place, but it's more and more about how does the consumer, whether they're the network security manager, the IT manager, the CTO, the CXO, whatever it is, or whichever line of business is relevant, it's about how that individual consumes on a day-to-day basis, and how they then relate that to the technologies that each of the vendors can potentially supply. And listening to the comments you both made there, it really came across. VMware really talking about simplification across the whole piece. Microsoft absolutely the same in terms of making sure that, to a certain extent, any person at an organisation can do that automation, can do that single pane of glass, which is very different to 5-6 years ago, when it was having a subject matter expert in just this one technology, just this one single part of the network of the cloud piece, whatever it may be, around it becoming more and more around the experience that the individuals within that organisation have, and relating that to the normal world that us as consumers live in.